Welcome to the Behind the Bits podcast. Your host, Scott Curtis, wants to learn everything he can about stand-up comedy and take you along for the ride. Scott and his guests talk serious about comedy in every episode. Behind the Bits will uncover knowledge from different perspectives on subjects such as writing and performing stand-up comedy, as well as booking shows and the comedy life. If you're thinking about becoming a stand-up comic, already in the comic game, or a comedy nerd, Behind the Bits is the show for you. Now, let's get Behind the Bits.
Ready to celebrate the dude that banished all the snakes from Ireland, allegedly? Well, you're gonna need drinks, so get them all from Drizzly, the go-to app for alcohol delivery. With Drizzly, you can shop local stores and can compare prices on beer, wine, and spirits, then get them all delivered in time for St. Patrick's Day. Download the Drizzly app or go to drizzly.com. That's DRIZLY.com today. Must be 21 plus, not available in all locations.
Take as little as 3 minutes to see if you could save on motorcycle insurance with Progressive. Come on, you've spent more time than that trying to name your bike.
How about the Crusher? I guess it's not really crushing anything. The Silver Bolt? No. Oh, what about Pepper? Mysterious. Is it a pet or a condiment? Surprise! It's a motorcycle. No, that's stupid.
Get a quote in as little as 3 minutes at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates.
A parent's greatest gift is not a thing at all. It's their children. Stoka knows that nothing can ever come close to the gift of a child, so they make products to nurture, support, and celebrate them for years to come. Curate your baby registry with award-winning products such as the Trip Trap High Chair, the Oval Sleepy Crib, and the iconic Explory Stroller. These products can be used from birth and as your child grows and develops. Stoka products are beautiful and built with safety and sustainability at the forefront, providing parents peace of mind and support for their children. To learn more, visit Stoka.com. You can use the promo code REGISTERWITHSTOKA at checkout for a free cushion with any high chair purchase. That's STOKKE.com, promo code REGISTERWITHSTOKA. Here we grow.
With one of the best savings rates in America, banking with Capital One is the easiest decision in the history of decisions. Even easier than choosing Slash to be in your band.
Next up for lead guitar. You're in.
Cool. Yep, even easier than that. And with no fees or minimums on checking and savings accounts, is it even a decision? That's banking reimagined. What's in your wallet?
Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com/bank for details. Capital One N.A. member FDIC.
Hey, BTB buddies, we got a special episode today. This one is honoring Terry Taylor, who was the owner of Giggles Comedy Club in Seattle. I had James Inman contact me telling me that we lost Terry earlier this month, and he wanted to get some of the regulars from Giggles together to talk about Terry, who turns out to be quite a character. We've got the regulars that have worked through Terry over the years, including Auggie Smith, James Inman, Louie Foxx, Duane Goad, Teina Manu, and Dave Dennison. Really just remembering Terry and telling some great stories. It was a real treat learning about Terry and some of the idiosyncrasies he had, as well as the folks that he gave a chance that are still performing today. Because there were so many people involved. The sound isn't great. A few people didn't have the best mics in the world, so I did everything I could. Be patient with it and just listen about Terry. It's a really good episode. I didn't talk much because I didn't have much to say, but I will tell you, I really enjoyed it. And listening back, it's really nice to hear about one of the good ones as far as club owners go. So here we are remembering Terry Taylor. It's a good one. Let's talk about what we're doing. So tonight, I'm facilitating a conversation about Terry Taylor, former owner of Giggles Comedy Club in Seattle. We recently lost Terry in a car accident, and James approached me about getting some of the Giggles gang back together to remember Terry. I don't know Terry myself, but he sounds like a real hoot and one of the good ones in the stand-up scene. So I'm going to bring everybody up. Got Duane. We got Lucas. And we got Dave and Angela. We got Auggie. T-Bone Jackson.
Where's Teina?
Teina and James Inman, who is the guy who started this whole thing. I appreciate you guys showing up. I did a little bit of internet stalking and looked at a few of the folks remembering Terry, and he sounds like he was a funny dude, an interesting dude, and a good dude. So, since I'm kind of on the outside of this, James, I'm going to let you kind of talk about who we have here, and then also just kind of go round robin and just start talking about Terry. And it's a free for all, so you guys just talk and have fun.
Over there, that's Duane Goad, and he would hang out at Giggles all the time. Auggie Smith was always in Seattle. Now, you lived in Portland at the time, didn't you, Auggie?
I did, James.
And he's probably headlined more for I think Duane probably headlined more there than any of us. Dave Dennison down below and his wife, Angela. Dave Dennison used to be a comedian, and then he met Terry and started hanging out at Giggles, and then Dave eventually created his own comedy club. Up there,
okay.
And it's a really nice club, and they have great taste in comedians. This guy, I don't know the guy down at the corner. What? Lucas? I've never met you. Have I met you?
Yeah, we met a couple times. I met you down at the Comedy Underground. So, best of Giggles Comics, like right before it closed, it became Giggles.
And we had Teina show up and disappear. So, he's, doing it on his phone or something. But Teina, is one of the funniest guys in my life. Everybody. Who's gonna disagree with that? I mean, him and Brody Stevens together were just phenomenal. I think did Brody work Giggles very often, or he moved down?
I think he did, because when I first started going to Giggles, Teina and Brody were already there, and so that's how I met them. I think I met them in the Underground, but they were there a lot too. So that's kind of how that's how I got to really know them, I think, was down at Giggles. And Auggie, I think, met at the Underground and maybe the contest, and I would see Auggie at Giggles all the time. And then Lucas, I remember Lucas coming in, and there was a whole new crew, Jeff Dye and Lucas Seeley, Andrew Slater, Brian Moot. That was kind of the last group of guys, I think, before Terry moved to Utah and it became a strip club.
So
really?
I just want to jump in. Lucas looks like he's 13 years old. Is he old enough to be in a comedy club?
We adopted him when he was like 6.
Okay.
You tell him how to write jokes. Yeah, he's a young one.
So I understand, some of the reading I did, I found some articles and stuff, and I understand that there was a Comedy Underground crew and there was a Giggles crew. And you guys used to meet on the bridge and fight each other. Is that right?
No, it was a little bit like that. But I mean, Terry, my experience with Terry, was we used to argue all the time. And when I first met the guy, I was a complete jerk, asshole. I was either drunk at the time or yelling at him. But it didn't, after a while, I found out it didn't matter what you did. That guy had the most forgiving heart I've ever met anybody. Like, you could punch a baby in the face and Terry would forgive you for it. I don't know why. It just maybe that's how he was raised. That's how they are in Utah. But you could not offend this guy. He did not hold a grudge at all.
Well, I started doing stand-up in Portland in the early 90s. And James, I'm going to tie this back to Terry, but it's important that you know this about James. I'd heard stories about James Inman. I didn't think he was a real person. I thought Inman was a story that was created by Seattle comics. If they wanted to make up a weird story, I swear to God, James, for 2 years, you were just a story. I didn't know you were an actual breathing human being. And the first time I worked with the second time I worked with you was at Giggles.
Yeah.
And you were just doing the MC spot that week for whatever reason. And you were on stage singing Terry Taylor Sells Monkeys Door to Door on your car. And he was in the back just laughing his ass off. Now, all of the stories I had heard about you was this madman, was this absolute madman. And then what I heard about Terry, he's this straight-laced Mormon guy. And somehow you guys got along. It was like, it was like one of those teamings of on TV shows. One was too old for all this. You guys just made it work. It was a beautiful relationship to watch you two.
Yeah, I mean, he had a rule that you couldn't say the F word, and I was thinking about telling everyone that we should probably not say the F word on this podcast out of respect for Terry. He would never let us say the F word, and so I kind of looked at it as a challenge. At the time, I was really in with the underground, and then I got a lot of success with winning the San Francisco comedy competition and Just for Laughs. And somebody mentioned they were talking about, those club owners can't tell you can't work that other club, and I was like, why is that? He's like, because there's a law. It's called antitrust, and so that stuck in my head. And so I started going to both clubs, and nobody said anything. And Terry liked the fact that I would play his club because he felt like he was like sticking it to the underground. I got James in my club, because I just wanted to do as much comedy as possible. And Terry had always played up,
Well, when I started working for Terry, he told me, he said, don't say the F word. He said this, he said, and don't say GD. And I didn't know what that meant. I had never heard it before. What does that mean? What does GD mean? And he thought I was just trying to goad him into saying it. I was like, oh, you know what it means.
You know what I mean.
Having absolutely no goddamn idea.
He was.
I don't. Thinking, am I saying it now?
Yeah.
So how does a guy? So I understand he was a Mormon and was very super clean cut. How does a guy like that get into the comedy business?
Well, I don't know.
Dave probably knows more than we do about that. Because
Dave can tell you.
Dave, you didn't know him in Terry. You knew Terry in Utah, right?
Yeah. At Johnny B's, and I didn't guess that. And he said, next time I tell him he's going to give me more time. I go, are you fucking crazy? Great.
Oh, shoot.
Oh,
we didn't hear that.
Oh, I have a hard time hearing it.
No, we didn't hear it.
Sorry, Andrew, we can't hear you very well.
I heard Dave pretty good.
He owned a club in Provo, Utah, Johnny B's, and then he bought the club from Bob Davis, Giggles, but he was originally a shoe salesman in Salt Lake City. And I don't know what attracted him to comedy, but he ended up at Johnny B's and then bought this club from Bob and started running it. But that's how he got the business up here, is he bought it.
Yeah, he booked me for that Johnny B's Utah club when I kind of started working for him. He said, we got to be clean there. And I said, oh, that's fine. And I was so, did you ever do it, Auggie? Did you ever do that club? That Johnny B's? It was, I've never seen anything like it in my life. Basically, all the wait staff, they didn't sell booze. So they sold like Snapple and like decaffeinated drinks.
Ooh.
And and canned. And so you'd see wait staff that are trying to make their money for the weekend, but they're coming over to the tables delivering Kit Kats and Snickers bars and Snapples. What the fuck? And part of me is going like, and you see somebody like flip out, like, I didn't have the Snickers. I asked for the O. Henry bar. Like, oh, I'm sorry. Let's go get it. Like it was nuts. It was insane. So I did my show and it was going okay. And then I lost them somehow. And then Terry would call me like, how'd it go? I go, things were okay. But then somehow they all turned on me. I don't know what I didn't swear and I didn't do anything, too risque. He's like, what exactly did you say? I said, well, it was this joke about my girlfriend and how we went to buy something for our apartment. He goes, that's what it was. You can't say you live with your girlfriend.
That's how religious he was. And I talked to him
right in the heart of Provo. So this was what it was like. And I was like, wow, I had no idea. And then I heard a story Tracy Tubbs told me. He was doing a show there and he was headlining. And it was him and Rick Kunker. I think Rick Kunker was the middle act. And every time he would do a joke, some guy in the back of the crowd go like that. And so Tracy's kind of like, okay, I'll just try to be cool, and keep going, and keeps going some more. And every time a joke would happen. So Tracy, after a while, goes, all right. So he does a joke and he's pissed off at this point. The guy does it. And so Tracy immediately goes, is that all you got? Turns out this guy was like in a wheelchair, like Stephen Hawking. Like, that was him laughing. The whole crowd turned on him, and the next guy, he was opening for Rick Kunker.
Oh, no.
Demoted.
Oh, man.
But he didn't know. He couldn't see back there. But
this
club was a completely different animal. Then Giggles was like, I tell the story about when I was on stage, and of course you can't swear, which is fine, but I said fuck by accident, slipped out. I said fuck. And Terry was delivering drinks that night because he was the whole staff at one point.
Yeah.
So I do the joke and I say, somehow fuck comes out and he's like, Duane. I go, oh, I'm sorry, Terry. I go, hey, folks, this is Terry. He's the owner. And he doesn't like us to say fuck. He's like, Duane. I go, what? I didn't do it a joke. I'm just man. He don't like to say the word fuck. I don't write jokes with fuck in it. So I didn't say it in a joking way. The crowd laughed. He's like, Duane, come on. I go, oh, Terry, get off my fucking back. I'm trying to do my best. He laughed at it. And like, that was his thing. Like, he kind of almost enjoyed being kind of pushed a bit. Like it was kind of the naughty side, kind of thing. But yeah, that was nothing like that Pro Club. That Pro Club was bananas.
I'll tell you, the first time I met him, he had taken over booking that room down Olympia, the Tai Hotel. And the first time I met him, we were in a screaming fight about money. Like where I'm ready to fight this guy.
Yeah.
And that was our first meeting. That was the first time I met him. I hated him. If I never see this guy again, and before I know it, I'm working for him.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like it's as though nothing, because he was a fan of my comedy, so he was happy to let everything go. And even though I was right in the argument, and still am to this day, and I'm thinking about suing his estate for the $25.
Yeah,
I really respected that he's able to get over stuff like that.
He was. I mean, really. And it's like, because he was like, I know this sounds cliche when you at a memorial, but he really was filled with love, because when, Duane got in contact with me, that's just the first thing I thought of. Oh, I'm not going to be able to make that funeral. Let's do some kind of podcast where we can talk about it, And Duane was like, yeah, let's do it. So
T-Bone Jackson. Oh, is he frozen?
Yeah, his connection's not the best. So
okay, so I got a story about Terry. I kind of knew Terry lived upstairs, I think, and either one time I was on the road or I was either drunk and I was too drunk to drive home. And Terry goes, oh, you can just go sleep up in my room and upstairs. So I'm like, all right. So he gives me the key or something and he tells me what door to go in. And I go into Terry Taylor's bedroom, his house, his apartment that was above the comedy club, right? I go in there and the first thing I see are these like racks from a department store. There's like 6 of them in there, and they were all filled to the brim with Star Wars dolls.
Oh,
He collected Star Wars dolls. He had so many of them that inside this room, he somehow got some display cases from Target, and he had them all up on display. Every single possible Star Wars doll.
Well, for a while, I think he had the doubles of the toys that he already owned, like I guess if you had like baseball cards with doubles, But at one point in the bar of the club, they were all like pinned to the wall. So they were like, you'd walk in this comedy club and keep it Star Wars action figures. Pinned to the wall. And then if they weren't there, then it became like K-Tel Records. You had all these K-Tel Records.
I remember that. The records.
Like, you need a storage unit. This isn't decoration. This is stuff that you hide away in a trunk somewhere.
I know, but somehow he pulled it off. Like, people would see those old album covers on the, and it was almost like people are like, that's retro. It's cool because it's retro. But Terry's like, no, this is good music. Terry, what is wrong with you? Who collects Star Wars dolls? It was just opened up a whole new, like, oh my God, this guy really is weird. It got to the point where he was the doorman, he was the bartender, he was the waiter and the waitress, and mixed all the drinks and the manager. It's like, how do you do that on a Friday and Saturday night when the place is full? And he's just like running around doing everything. It was crazy.
Yeah, and everybody was waiting for their order. You do it poorly. It's a terrible business model. A terrible business model.
Well, he was a little cheap. I mean, let's just say that. But he would walk around and
he would come back, even though they go, oh, the service there is terrible. Well, we're going to come back next week to see Jim Gaffigan. Just so rude and so mean. But hey, Greg Giraldo's here in 2 weeks. Always full.
Or Mitch Hedberg. He booked Mitch a bunch of times.
I remember when I was headlining a weekend and Mitch was in town, but Bob Davis had opened another club downtown and was doing something. So Mitch Hedberg was down there. And I guess what happened was, Mitch didn't know this, but they were changing the ticket prices and they didn't tell Mitch this. So his fans were getting charged more money than they thought they would. So Mitch wouldn't go on. So he was upset. There was this big back and forth between Bob and Mitch.
Oh, man.
Terry left his club to go smooth that over with Mitch and Bob. So I come out and I go, where's Terry? He's like, oh, he went down to smooth things over at the other club for Bob. I go, you mean my competition for the week? I was like 12 people to see me. But it was so funny. So he comes back and I go, well, maybe I'll cause some shit tomorrow. And I won't go. Yeah. I don't like the fact you're charging my fans $4 to see me. Tim.
Oh yeah, I know.
$2.50 like the '60s, but it was just like that's the way he was. He went down and helped his friend out who was having a rough time with Mitch. Mitch seemed, I don't know if he loved him or I don't know much about him and Mitch, but they worked together a lot. So I guess there must have been some kind of decent relationship. But that was kind of the way he was. He would go down and smooth things over for this guy Bob, and it was bananas. It was nuts.
When I went to Terry's house and they were still Christmas, and we saw Terry's bedroom. It looked like 12-year-old boys' baseball room and room.
He'd always let us, some of the comics let us like run open mic. He would just like, oh, you guys read it tonight. We're going to go do something. And so we'd be sitting there and we're like, he always charge us money for drinks. We're like, oh, Terry's not here. Let's just free drinks, like we drink, but then he'd come back and he would know how much Grey Goose.
Yeah.
There was some shit that he pulled, some vodka that he poured in the bag.
Yeah, I know. I caught him doing that once, and because just saw him as like a businessman or whatever. He looked up to him because he's really good. He was always making money. He knew how to make money. But I walked in there during the day because I had to talk to him about something, and he had a Stoli bottle with a funnel in it, and he was pouring cheap pop-on vodka. I'm like, Jerry, what are you doing? He's like, everybody does this, James. And I'm like, so every time I order a Stoli, hey, that's cheap vodka. He goes, they don't notice.
Oh, yeah, man. The green funnel that he had back there.
T-Bone Jackson, you finally got the internet connection there, buddy.
Okay, am my voice on? Can you guys?
Yeah, you're good.
Yeah. Oh, crazy. Okay. I'm not joking. This is the first Zoom in my entire life. I've never done as an artist. I've never been on Zoom. Anyway, I didn't trust it completely. This isn't connected to child support, is it?
No, and not having done Zoom, you're not missing anything. I'll tell you that.
But it's totally cool how you can see everybody and stuff.
So, yeah, it's like the Brady Bunch.
To James's point about how much love he had for comics in the end, and how much he really did want to support us in a weird, sick way, you know. But what I'm saying is by the criticism, by the getting yelled at, by the like, you know, you paid for that, you know. And, I went to, I got pulled over one time, and I had missed a court date a year before or something. It was like not showing up to court. So I had to go to court. And it was like $1,400 or something, like $1,400 in the 90s. Wow. Whoa. And so the judge was like, how do you want to pay? I can. And they had no program for like painting or, you know, like that. So he goes, if you want him, you can stay in jail for like $60 a day with time served. And I'm like, how much is that? And he goes, it's like 2 weeks. I go, and then I come out and I have no fine. And he said, yeah. And I go, let's do it. I'll do it. I'll do the 2 weeks. So I was in there for, I don't know how many days, maybe not quite a week. And it was just like 3 meals goofy. You had cable TV, you had a phone. You had a phone in the room. You just sit there and called your friends all day. But I get a visitor. I go, a visitor? Like, Ring County Jail? What is this? Like, and Harry showed up and he paid for it. Yeah, he comes down and it was hundreds. I forget how much it was. And he goes, we'll just work it off at the club. You know, we'll have you do shows and stuff. And he did.
Wow.
But he would always try, like he said, as a businessman, he always has to try. So he hired me to build the floor in there. There used to be more of a pit in Giggles. So you go down farther before this go to the stage. So he wanted to lift that up one level. And so I agreed on building it for like $400. So we get all done. He counts out the money and he goes, here, get this back to me whenever. Don't worry. Take your time. Give me back. I go, for what? He goes, this $400. I go, it's, you're paying me because I just built the floor. And he goes, oh, yeah, I'm just kidding. He has to try though. Because what if I was, oh yeah, okay. Yeah, you know, but anyway, yeah, he got me out of jail once.
Oh, wow. That's a crazy story.
I was supposed to do a gig for him in Olympia, and I was middling. Like, I wasn't even headlining back then. I was a middle act. And I think I just moved in with my wife. We just moved in together. And something happened. My wife left for work, and then there was a buzz on her door. Somebody up. So I go, hello? And the guy was like, hi, I'm from Key Bank. I'm here to repossess your car. I'm like, what? My car? I had like 4 payments left or something on my car, but you know, I'm a professional middle, so all my checks are staggered. I'm doing creative. So I was late. And so at the same point, I go, okay, I'll buzz you up. And so right then, Terry calls me to go over the details of this club. And I go, hey, I can't do it. Find someone else. And I hang up. And then he calls me back. I'm not letting it go. I'm going downstairs. I go, can I get my sweater out of the car before you take it away? You know, like, it just was humiliating. Get my car yanked, you know?
Yeah.
And so I just felt awful. And so the guy tows it, drives it away or whatever. So I go back up and phones him ringing. And it's Terry. And he goes, what's going on? I go, Terry, I can't do the gig. Find someone else. He's like, what do you mean? What's going on? I go, they get repoed my car because nobody in Seattle knows how to do their bills and can't send your check out comics when they're supposed to. So all my checks are coming late and everything else. And it's all pissed off. And he goes, how much do you owe? And I was like, I don't know. I was like, I think I had like $4,000 on my car at that point. And so he goes, I'll come over and grab you. So he came over to my house. We went to the bank. He basically paid off my car. And
what? Oh my God.
Brought me to the tow yard to get my car. And then he said, just when you come to the club, we'll do a weekend. You just pay me each month what you're supposed to pay. And don't worry about being late. Just make sure you get it to me. And so I pay him $305 a month for my car, whatever it was.
Oh my God.
And I got my car back. But because of him, like, it was like, well, he did stuff like that for people all the time. But, you know, I don't think people normally probably.
Yeah. But you know what? You know what, though? But you know what, Duane? Only if he thought you were funny. Because he's a businessman like James is. It's an investment. I'll help out the people I think are funny that do well at my club. It benefits him.
Yeah.
Keep us eating, keep us driving.
Well, people would ask me why I worked there for less, because he would pay less money. You would sometimes headline 2 shows Friday, 2 shows Saturday, and I don't know, he'd give like $200 or $300, you know? I'm like, Harry, this is junk change. And you couldn't haggle with him at all. But then I realized that he kept calling me and I kept headlining one. I was like, well, I'm working for you like 6-7 weeks a month. I might as well just keep coming here because eventually I'm going to get the money from him, you know, because I mean, he gave me so much work, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. He's always good to the people that were around him. The people that were, you know, I mean, for me, I just, you know, he was just always from the first one when I met him, he just offered me work and, you know, showcases and different things. And I remember doing a gig. There was a headliner in Seattle who didn't like me at all. And I had to work with him and another comic who I forget who it was. And the guy in the middle act, I was emceeing at the middle act, ping pong balls that he cut in half and dots on it, put them in his eyes at Homer Simpson impression. Yeah, all right, look at my eyeballs. It was like this big hook. And so I'm like, yikes, this guy's rough. And so we're in the bar and the headliner comes out and he goes, they were a good crowd. And I'm thinking, oh, he's trying to be nice to me. I'm like, yeah, they were a good crowd. He goes, well, you had trouble with them, but hey, man, you were great. Ping pong ball guy. I'm like, fucking right. So then that weekend, he wrote a letter to Terry about how unprofessional I was and I wasn't funny and he's wasting time. He just went off on me, you know, and he goes too long. And Terry goes, I timed you. You didn't go long. I go, yeah, I didn't have material to go long at that point. And so cut to like 2 months later, we're doing this gig in Olympia and Terry's I went with Terry, he drove us down and the headliner's there. And I was supposed to like a half hour. He goes, hey, just go long. I go, oh, I don't know. This guy here, he wasn't. I was like, no, just keep going long. Keep going long.
So what about ping pong?
Ping pong wasn't there, right? So I was like, oh, I get to take his spot. So I go, hey guys, that's my time, but you guys are such a good crowd. I don't want to leave the crowd. I don't want to leave yet. I want to do more time. And the crowd's like, yeah, do more time. And the headliner's flipping out in the back, yelling at Terry, like, what are you doing? He's checking his watch. And I look at Terry, he just got this smirk on his face. Like, yeah, keep going. He's just a pain in my ass. Just keep going. It was like, he was kind of like a little kid like that. Like he liked to stir shit up every once in a while, you know?
I know. He did have he was always smiling. He always laughed. Like, even if you tried to insult him, he'd just laugh. You know? You couldn't insult him.
He got mad at me one time. I was on stage and I stopped myself before like saying the F word or something. And I go, oh, no, never mind. And they're like, what? And I go, no, you guys, it's a clean show. There's a clean room. You know, it's a clean club. You know, that's not cuss here. I almost cussed. You know, I stopped myself. Of course, immediately, especially a hot crowd, dude, you know, everyone's going, you know, fucking cuss. What the fuck? You know, they take money, you know. And so
I'm like, are you sure? And then they start cussing. You know what I mean? They're all. And so afterwards, don't tell the crowd that you can't cuss. Don't I go, I know, but it's fun. I mean, as an artist, you want them to know.
Yeah.
I'm shackled. I'm being restrained up here, ladies and gentlemen. But it was funny. The whole crowd started cussing. It was a nightmare for him hearing that language. Well, I mean, there was one time I was doing a guest set or whatever, and supposed to be like 10 minutes, and I went a little long, like 3 minutes, and Terry went on the mic and said, "Get off." Get off. Oh, dude. So embarrassing, man.
Well, I would always go back and forth with him, and I tried so hard not to say the F word. And there's a couple times I went on that stage and I killed for like 45 minutes. And there's never a place where you lose the audience. Right? Mm-hmm. And I probably said the F word one time, and I get off stage, I come back, just on, when you have a show like that, it really makes you feel good, right? You're just thinking you're king of everything. And you come back and Terry's like working and he doesn't say good show. Or he doesn't say you killed. He goes, I think he said the F word. Yeah, he said it once. I was like, Terry, I killed. I mean, oh my God.
There's so many nights when come off stage and he'd say something like, and there's so many comments there. Totally care up there. You just yell. Like, but I guess if you can't be clean, God, you always had
I know. Yeah.
I was fine with it. I was thinking about it all week about what you were doing. Like, you excited or upset about, like, stunned by something. It's just they had this sound like a bird. That's how you got like. And I remember Dave going up. God, Dave would go on stage and just destroy. He would just kill us all in the back, and Terry would be like they just had that way of saying it. Something I've been thinking about all week. Just the way he would do it, There were those nights where he would.
Bobby Slayton.
The what's that?
Oh wow!
And Bobby Slayton to work the club, and it doesn't matter how many warnings you get. Some woman ended up suing the club. So Terry Taylor, of all people, had to go to court and defend the act of
Oh, my God.
Documentary made about it.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, it's Bill Jones.
I remember doing a weekend with Greg Giraldo. And I come into the room, and I'd worked with Greg. And so I kind of knew pretty well. And so I walked by. Greg was talking to a bunch of people. So I kind of walked by, use the restroom. And so I walked by Greg and, what, you can't say hi? I go, I'm not a fan. And I walked to the bathroom, and there's a guy that's in the toilet, in the urinal next to me. He's like looking at me. I'm like, this guy's kind of weird. And he was like, he saw my show in Olympia the week before, and it was terrible show. And I was hammered because they were setting up real drinks when they weren't supposed to. I was just a mess, And you suck. And I go, yeah, I didn't go on stage. And he's like, no, I saw you last week. You suck, or whatever. And so I leave, and then I kind of talk to some guy, and I look over, and I see Geraldo talking to this guy, and now they're having a back and forth. And I'm like, oh, something's going on here. And so the guy I'm with goes, there's going to be a fight. And so this guy takes his drink, and he's going to throw it in Geraldo's face. The guy I'm with somehow jumps over the bar and takes it in the chest like he's the James Brady of comedians, just goes, and so I remember right before that, Geraldo took a sip of Corona and spit in the guy's face.
Oh, man.
Oh.
And then after that, Terry was like, oh, this is his thing.
Yeah.
And, I remember Tracy Tufts was there. He goes, I should have done something. And, Geraldo goes, yeah, what the fuck, Terry? You don't have openers that can spit beer and people get the headliners do it? There's always one of these nights like this. There's always something, the crazy Nick DiPaolo throwing incident, and the guy was going to sue Harry because two guys from the show ran out and beat the shit out of this guy, I guess.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Terry taped all the shows, so this guy's like in clear shot of the camera, grabbing a a drink and throwing it at Nick DiPaolo. Like,
oh, really?
Great. Yeah, I remember coming out of the showroom one night and the two guys with their bicycles because Terry wasn't watching the front because he was cleaning the kitchen, making tacos, delivering drinks, whatever. So these two guys with their bicycles came in. They're right in the doorway, and they're both watching the show. And I'm trying to get through. Can I get through, guys? And they're looking at me. I'm like, I'm sorry. Can I pass through, please? And they're looking at me. I go, get the fuck out of there. I kind of push them. Get the fuck out of the way. The guy goes, hey, you got a problem? I go, yeah, move your bikes. And just as I say it, Terry comes around the corner, and he's, 5'0". He comes around the corner, barrel chested up. He goes, all right, guys, fuck out. I never.
Oh, wow.
And the guy goes, you want to go or something like that? And Terry grabbed this guy by the nuts, drug him by his balls outside of the door, and his friend collecting both bikes, like, oh, I'll go this way. And
oh my God.
It was like, there were things like that. You can see, like, oh my God, this guy is like, no wonder nothing gets to him. He can, like, do something, grab and do down the bicycle.
Remember the longest time when I first started going there, like, I just knew him as the owner of Giggles, and he was cheap and he was running around doing everything, right? But I mean, I liked him because I could get away with anything. Mm-hmm. But I was always kind of wondering, like, if he had a girlfriend or something. And then all of a sudden, that girl started showing up. Remember that one girl, Whitney? What was her name? Whitney?
Well, Hillary.
Hillary, that was it. Right. So she started hanging out because she was his girlfriend. And they kind of had a weird relationship, like everyone was like, wow, how can Terry? And he'd occasionally get her to waitress, and I always wondered if he paid her because it was his girlfriend.
Well, my wife was a waitress. That's how I met her. She was a waitress there. She was a terrible waitress. And, but she was going to UW. And so she got this job, and then she quit, and then we started dating. And I said, did you like that job? She goes, no, I was terrible at it. And then people would skip out on their bill, and she would have to pay it. I go, I go, they just don't take that as a law. She goes, no, Terry makes us pay. I go, what do you, like, stop at the door? And you're like, way like comforting. But, yeah, so I don't know if it was, she did, I mean, she liked Terry, but she's like, yeah, what a fun place to work.
Yeah.
Well, obviously not. Nobody worked. Yeah.
But if you're a comic, I mean,
I go do dad stuff. I'm glad we did this. Peter, you can see all you guys.
Already did it for.
Thanks, Auggie.
Yeah, thanks, Auggie. Thanks.
See you, Dave. Bye, Angela.
Yeah. Okay.
So Terry had me now the boys. Here we go. Let's talk in. Here we go. So first of all, I was raised Mormon. So Terry and I had already, as soon as I found I was Mormon, it was like, okay, we had the like inside jokes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We could bust out the Joseph Smithisms. What he had me build upstairs, which was the old like liquor room where the bottles of the booze they were all on the second floor. Then they had these hoses coming down that would go to the bar. So that got all taken out and that got moved somewhere else. So he wanted to convert that room up there into like a little studio apartment. Like, Duane, do you remember that room up there?
Yeah.
Because
Yep.
And so I put in the whole deal, toilet, shower. So it had a bathroom up there, and then it was like a studio bedroom, with shower. And it ended up becoming kind of the green room for the comics. They could get I remember opening for the Wayans brothers, and they were all up there in the mirror getting ready and stuff. So it was weird. It turned out, but then on the other end of the building, there was an empty office that he said I could live in. And so I built a hanging bed. These were small, like little office rooms. Mm-hmm. So I had a bed that hung from the ceiling from a chain and went on a ladder. So underneath, I could still have a couch and stuff, one of those kinds of setups. And he had the apartment on that side. I had it, but there was no bathroom on my side. So I'd have to run across this hallway to use the bathroom or take a shower. So I could never do it in the daytime because the place is open and there's other businesses in there. And I don't think they ever knew that there's like a couple of comics sleeping in the offices that are closed. You know?
Yeah, it was probably against the law. Like, you can't have an apartment. You can't live in the place that you have a business.
No. And the way the plumbing and drainage, you got a toilet, you got a shower, that all has to drain, see? So I told them, like, the closest place is the stack, the vent. It's a vent stack that goes up out of the roof, and it pulls in air behind the running water, so the water doesn't get stuck. And so if it can't pull air in behind itself, everything clogs. So I get hooked to that vent stack that kitchen's using. I go, but there's no way they would, you know what I mean? They would allow it to code. Yeah. Because now you've got a restaurant drain that now it's like human poop going through it. And never, although it's sanitary, it's not like, but they just wouldn't allow it. You can't.
Right. So you did it anyway, but you
he said do it anyway. He goes, okay. I go, all right. If somebody sees this, they'll make you like take it off.
You're supposed to have a license. Like, you're supposed to like have the guys that do the code come over and check it or something.
Yep. Yeah. So he had a full working apartment up there for a while, and that was like those were good times. Anything that happened in the club, anything that was jumping off in the club, people are hanging out, having drinks afterwards. It's down to like the headliner, a couple of comics, some chicks are hanging around. We can go upstairs now. There's a big screen TV up there, a couch.
Okay, so this must have been after I left. Like, I moved back to Kansas City because I don't remember all that stuff. What year was that?
Late 90s. Yeah, late 90s.
Late 90s. Okay.
No, I was still maybe
working
98.
Because you and Brody.
98.
I think Brody was still.
Yeah, Brody's still there.
No, I thought Brody moved to.
So it was 96 then. Maybe it was like 96, 95, 96. Because Brody went to he went to New York first,
right?
In like 97.
Mm-hmm.
So it had to be. It was like 95, 96. I guess had that room up there.
They were always playing.
Remember, he had to do radio in the morning. That was his thing. He was so big on you making sure you got to the radio show.
Yeah.
Bob Rivers show. And he thought this was going to pull in tons of people from you being on morning radio, which rarely did. But he was like, oh, come on, this is going to be big. So I remember being at the club, hanging out there on a Thursday night, and I actually fell asleep. In the bar. And I woke up around 5:30 in the morning because he had set up an alarm on a stack of cups in the bar. Like, he already left. I just woke up in Giggles one morning.
Oh my God.
Episode. He didn't give me a blanket, a pillow, but he made sure up for radio. So my wife has no idea where I'm at, but here I am on the radio. It's not going to go, hey, Duane, look a little different this morning. Yeah, I slept at Giggles last night. And they go, oh, yeah. And so her friends from work are like, I think I heard your husband on the radio this morning. Did he really sleep? Oh. No, it's all part of his act. He was like, that's our life. But that's how important it was. It was like, hey, your comfort's not important to me, but make sure you have to do that goddamn radio. But they made an extra $19.
I don't know if you guys already mentioned this or not before I came on, but he was responsible in that time that we were doing comedy there in the early mid of getting us on stage with huge names, and he didn't have to, but he almost on purpose for, like I said, if he liked you and you were funny and you were loyal to the club, just to give it, just so you could have it on your resume.
Yeah,
he would come down, and he was like, "Come down and host the Weigh-In Brothers." I'm like, "Yeah, are you joking?" And and then you're doing it for 3 years or something. I'm like, "Whoa!" And Tommy Shaw, all the names, all the people that came through the Carlos Mencia and stuff, just so you could say opened for or worked with You know, it was all before the internet. And so, yeah. And so he was responsible for meeting like way out of my league. I would never, you know, I'm still doing casinos and stuff, and never would have met these like TV characters and you know, Hollywood guys. And so he was really responsible for that because it builds your confidence.
Yeah.
There's not like a known person saying, you know, when you first meet like a Bill Maher and they say, man, you're really funny. I like the bit about this. And you're like, what?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I worked with Patrice because of that. And I was like such a huge Patrice O'Neill fan.
Wow.
And then Jay goes, yeah, I want you to do the weekend with Patrice.
Yeah.
Like, I just sat and watched Patrice. You know, it wasn't too long before he passed away too. And so I had to sit and watch, you know, like one of the greats to me. I was just like, you know, awe. Like, and then just hanging out like you would with like, you know, it was me and Lucas or you and Inman or just like the rest of us. And we're just comics, you know, but at that moment you're thinking, oh, this guy's been on this show, you know, even if you've done TV, you're like, but they're on this channel, you know?
Yeah.
Because I mean, even with you, Lucas, right? Like, because you're kind of the later group right before Terry went. So I wasn't hanging around when you guys were there towards the end.
Yeah, we got
I mean, wasn't it?
Yeah, we, you know, pick the comic. You know, you take them to radio, so you get to spend time with the comic, you know, outside.
Yeah.
And then, like, I had the opportunity to open for Bill Burr, so, you know, I pick him up, take him to the radio, and then, you know, spend the weekend with him because he wanted to do shit.
I mean, it's nothing like it for a young comic.
Yeah. Like 5 years later, Bill took me on tour with him, and that was because of
there you go.
Oh, wow.
That's the same with me and Gaffigan too.
That's awesome.
Sent me a bunch of dates to do with him because I got to work with him with Terry. Like it was just those breaks that I don't know if people get them now. I hope they're still getting them.
I picked up Laura Keitlinger. I picked up Michael Winslow once. Took him to his hotel room for a second and then brought him to the club in Terry's Jeep. Remember his Jeep? So he was kind of joking around, making some sound effects, you know, with his friend in the room. And then we're on our way to the club.
He was just on the phone.
He's just on the phone.
Make a call. Beep, bop, boop. It's my phone. I've got it on.
And so he sneezed. It was a real sneeze, you know. He's just like, achoo, you know. And I turned to him, I go, that was incredible. Sounded exactly like you are the. Yeah, it was funny. He got it. Oh my god, that, you know what I mean? Like, you know, even that was the best thing I've ever. But no, you got to meet these people, drive them around, hang out. If you were in his like circle, you know, because he was easy. I mean, quick to rip. Yeah. You know, he'd be at the bar and somebody would walk in and you know, looking to get on the list, wanting to go up, you know, a newer guy. And he's like going, did you write anything? Are you going to be as bad as last week? I know. Like, you know, like, are you serious? Yeah. Like, now already, are you funny? Because you're coming back here. He wasn't shy to talk like that. They're like, right. In front of all the other comics. Right.
I'm out of the showrooms like, oh my God, this guy's getting work.
Yeah. It was weird because comics, usually we compliment each other all the time. And so when you get that kind of criticism from Terry, it's like, I seek that out because when I just have people, have my back all the time, I don't feel comfortable. You know, I really want somebody to watch me and see how many times I say the F word, you know.
Yeah.
But it wouldn't matter how hard you killed. You could not impress him because he literally saw the best in the business.
You know, self-love type of guy, but it actually really made you work. You know, he wanted you to be better. And he would say stuff like, you're going to do some new stuff, you know, and it made you work. Like,
well, there's no way characters like, you know, there's another guy named Ken Koch in Tacoma at this place called Crossroads, kind of this cantankerous owner of this place. But he loved the funny people. He had a heart for those guys. Everyone else, he was so critical. And when Terry Like nowadays, I'd get off stage and he goes, that thing about getting mud on your boots. He goes, don't do that again. And, he was like, and imagine talking to these like comedians under 30 like that nowadays. Everything's everything's their journey. Everything's an experience. And it's like, Terry would go, that sucks. Don't ever say that again. It's like,
Comedians need to hear that. That's for sure. Yeah.
They cry about it all the time, man. Tell these young comics like fucking suck. Like, what?
When I was in the contest, I would come home at night and he would call me. He goes, how'd it go tonight? What'd you get? And I go, oh, I got, like 6 or I got 4th or whatever. He's like, okay, so your scores end this. And I was doing the finals and I did this music bit. And he's like, don't do that bit until you get to the final. Do it your first night of the finals. I said, oh, okay. And that was the year that Auggie was in it, and Mitch and Kostaki and Hennigan. So, like, I'm thinking I'll probably get this. Like, I'm not going to, no one's getting, Mitch obviously is going to win this. And, but I talk to him every night and he would just say, all right, like a coach, like he was coaching me back then.
Yeah.
Here's what you need to do. And this, if you do this with the numbers, and he was like, had fucking Matt Damon on the chalkboard. Like, but right though, he was always pretty much right. I remember the first time I met Inman was first year I did the contest, and Inman just went bananas because he didn't make the top 5 in Gig Harbor. Everybody.
Yeah.
I was like, who's this guy? And then I think Terry goes, oh, that's James Inman. That's his thing. He's a sweetheart though. He's on a back.
You said something about Matt Damon and all the numbers. I was hanging out with Terry once and he had to add something up and it was like complicated math. And he did it in his head. And it was like, I was, at the time was like looking for a calculator and he goes, no, it's 3,417. I go, Terry, how did you do that? He goes, oh, I could do math in my head. And so that's really what he did. I mean, because he was doing that as a waiter and as a bartender. I mean, he did all that math in his head with the change and the numbers and
Hey, Louie Foxx, how are you, buddy?
What's up? I just happened to make it home a little bit ago from being on the road. So,
good deal, buddy.
Cool.
Great.
You mentioned Terry as a bartender. He's the only bartender I've ever met that you could like deal with. Like, I got $5. Can I get 3 beers for them? 2.5 beer.
At Kroger, we want our fresh produce to meet your expectations, which is why we're dedicated to doing up to a 27-point inspection on our fruits and veggies, checking for things like scarring. In fact, only the best produce like zesty oranges and crisp carrots reach our shelves. Because when it comes to fresh, our higher standards mean fresher produce. Kroger, fresh for everyone.
Save big on your favorites with the Buy 5 or More, Save $1 each sale. Simply buy 5 or more participating items and save $1 each with your card. Kroger, fresh for everyone.
Dr. Rick here. Another sign you're becoming your parents is getting particular about details that don't matter.
The craziest thing happened when we got tacos the other day. Was it Wednesday or Thursday we got tacos? I know it wasn't Tuesday because that's when I went to my hairdresser. Shoot, what day was it?
See how we all lost interest there?
Progressive can't help you from becoming your parents, but we can help you compare rates on home insurance with Home Quote Explorer. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and third-party insurers. Comparison rates not available in all states or situations. Prices vary based on how you buy.
Were you happy?
Yeah.
You'd give us, we'd have like a running tab, I remember.
Oh, God. Yeah. I get.
Oh, yeah.
My tab.
Yeah. He made you pay for your drinks.
Yeah. And I would do, me and Tracy, I go, he's never drank before. So he thinks that you have 2 beers and you forget what you've done for the night. I'm like, I didn't have that many beers here. He's like, you had 19 beers. And then you end up doing a weekend, my wife would go, oh, how much you making this weekend? I go, it's for a tab. Jeez, right. Killing me. So it was like 2 weekends for your drinking tab. It was.
Yeah. Well, the beer, the kegs that he had hooked up were right there at the bar. So when he'd walk out and wait tables, I would just like pour another drink. I think that's how I got most of my free drinks. I was just like, Terry Taylor.
Oh yeah, I'd go back to the little green room in the back where the funnels were, and that's where he kept all the alcohol.
All the top shelf alcohol.
Yeah, all the top stuff.
The
I remember
funnel
when-
room. It sounds like it's something.
He used to book these shows, these frat shows for the UW kids, right?
Yeah.
I don't know if he
Yeah,
actually
you know.
checked IDs on any of these kids, but they're all drinking. And I remember he was gone. I think he was in Utah for a week or whatever. So he had Tracy look after the bar. So we're doing the show, and I'm going on stage, and all these frat kids are there, and I have a beer, and I take a sip, and these kids are like, chug it. And I go, yeah, I'm not going to chug it. I'm a little too old to be chugging beers, guys. So I do some jokes and whatever, and I take another sip. The guys are, and I go, okay, clearly this beer is a distraction. So I just dump the whole beer out on the stage. And then within like a minute, this guy, Chad Roberts, who used to hang out with us, he's the greatest. He ran up with another beer because Tracy's like, oh, bring him another one. So I bring him another beer. Like within a minute, and they're like, and I take a sip, like, chug it. I go, again, this is a distraction. And I dump that whole fresh beer. I'm like,
oh no.
And so I go, guys, I think these girls are that impressed that we're all drinking beers. You think, wow, look at the way that guy chugs that beer. Someday he'll be a raping alky and I should try and miss on him, I go, they're not impressed. And so all these guys, like, they're all like leaving. And then like me and like maybe 12 of the guys are still there, but it's mostly all the gals from the sorority. And then again, Chad comes up with a fresh beer. I do a little joke and I take a sip. I go, hey, you guys want to see me chug beer? And I just totally down this thing for all these girls. So we thought it was like the funniest thing ever. And then the next morning, Terry calls me like, okay, so you owe me, I'm guessing 5 beers, the ones you dumped out. And I go, how do you know this? You weren't even there. I'm like, oh man, you got cameras in this place? Because that would be too expensive, I'm sure, to get.
I did a couple of
I
those.
always knew what was going down. I'm like, how the hell do you know that? Like, I see the guys the next day. Thanks for ratting me out. Jerry's like, I didn't rat him out. Somehow we knew.
Oh, really? Oh, man.
Well, I did a couple of those frat shows. They're weird. Like one was on the porch outside the house. Like they're standing in the doorways and through the windows. And one was like standing by a pool table. Because of that, there was these college guys that were starting this business to take seniors, high school seniors who just graduated on their senior trip, to Mexico. And it's like a whole package for a whole week they pay for. And every night has a theme. So the first night is like dance night. Second night is margarita night, like a booze cruise on Thursday, like that. So one of the nights they wanted to be a stand-up, a comedy night, every week. So because of Terry and these UW guys, kids saw me and go, yeah, dude, you're the one. Come down to. So I was in Mazatlan for a month, all expenses paid. I had my own hotel room. These kids are like, I'm sorry, these young adults. Were crammed into like 3, 4, 6 per room, to get their, they're all in the budget.
Yeah.
And I had my own room. I was there for a month and all I had to do was comedy once a week. Like 20 minutes.
Oh my God.
Drunk. They're so drunk and so crazy. They're all in Mazatlan and there's like 300-400 in these huge crowds and they're all standing because they're going to dance right afterwards. So they were just sort of trained. Every time I would pause, they would laugh. Yeah, they're just echoing through this thing. I don't know.
Oh, wow.
Then they're like, so it was great. That's because of Terry. It's because of Giggles.
Oh, he got you that gig?
A whole month.
Oh, wow.
One show a week. I don't get
enough
nothing from it.
You would get really good gigs from them. Then you get some gigs that are just terrible. He goes, just do it. It's money. That was the thing. Just do it. So it was like, maybe you guys might have done this with me, but it was like, you had to be down in Bellevue at like 9 a.m. and there were 5 buses and they were all going up to Snoqualmie Falls. And it was your job to do comedy on the bus for this 25-minute bus.
Oh, man.
Oh, my God. Really?
It was like me and Tracy and Al Fox was on it.
Oh, man.
And a couple other guys. And I remember, I think I got on the bus, I started, and it was just people, they just woke up, they're exhausted, they don't want to hear stupid. They just sat down.
Oh, my God.
I cried for even the bus driver was like
there he is.
That looks like Tracy Chops.
Yeah, there's Tracy. He was on one of the buses.
Yeah, I snuck. I'm on.
Yes.
I'm at work.
So this is going to be a lot of stuff about how Tracy. Yeah, this is going to be a lot of
got on to work.
Career.
I'm at Verizon Cellular Plus. Come down and see me.
Yeah.
Yes. $150 off the Samsung.
All right.
That's all I've got.
See, that's what he learned that from Terry. In there.
He's a businessman.
I tried to used and I never bothered checking the camera. Guess my camera's broken.
Yeah.
Terry,
I saw you
on the phone.
Tracy, before you're done with your break, tell that story about who got held up. You looked at something about the hold up and Terry.
Oh, Chris the cook. You guys ever heard? Remember Chris the cook and Terry were in the club, and I came in and held them up, and while the guy was pointing a gun, Terry walked out and left.
He took the moment.
Yeah, so the guy's like, but Chris is like, you just let the guy come.
I've forgotten about the safe.
I'm sure there's nothing in it, but everybody, it's like, you look at it and you think it's like Al Capone's,
the most
smoke.
cash.
Remember, he was selling smokes for a while, which is the best.
That's right.
On top of the safe.
All in the safe, yes.
Well, the most cash I've ever seen in my life was out of the safe, or out of somewhere, but Terry had me count the cash to pay out Richard Jenny, and it was like 60 grand in $20 bills. I'm just in the back of the bar counting out, because I think he did Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, 3 shows a night. And
wow.
Do one for you.
Wow.
For you.
I mean, Terry used to walk around with a wad of cash about this big in his pocket, in his front pocket.
Bill Burr, the shoebox. I told Duane and Yoshi, Terry cared about, he loved money.
Yeah. Yes.
Oh, yeah.
And that's what you had to understand, I think, Terry. And once you kind of understood that, along with him, because then you could figure out, oh, this guy, it was because I think it had something to do with his upbringing.
Yeah,
because I don't think he was a rich,
they love money.
Boy. I think, as a matter of fact, I think he
really poor.
He like really, at least in a lot of
Well, no, he liked those characters that we were. There was, Yoshi, Al Fox. There's still Brody, Duane, Tracy, and like Inman, and like he liked the circus of us.
No, you just, but Terry adored you to death.
Just a second.
Which you, of course, you are. Terry really loved listening to your stand-up, as everybody does.
Yeah.
But Terry would constantly drop the old T-bomb on us.
Yeah.
Oh my God, you're saying that, but somebody told me that I never met. And they go, you're Teina Manu. I go, yeah. Terry Taylor tells us You're naturally funny. Nobody's as funny. Like it was like a standard that he would give to the open micers.
All the time, man. I remember Terry always talking about you. Like, there's like a legend I never knew about, dude. He was like, no, as funny as him, man.
Oh man.
All you guys.
Well, I'm getting my TikTok.
You guys are funny. He wouldn't let anybody up. They were not funny. Like, I remember people that just irritated him. And the only reason they irritated him was because, so, you know.
He forgave a lot if you were funny.
He went out of the club.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And I kind of understood it. And at the other time, it's like, well, sometimes you want to see girl or what. But he loved comedy.
Yeah.
Judge of comics. That's why all you guys were on stage. And to work, I got to pull through numbers. My clone ass. Why I'm talking so much? Otherwise, I would have. I had to leave. Love you all. And let's talk. I'll try to get in touch with all of you guys.
Yeah. Yeah, do that. You got to get over to Montana. I was in Montana this morning.
We're all fan of Lucas's place.
I heard you're there. You're here in Billings.
I stayed in Billings last night. I was good for like 5 hours.
You can show us where they filmed Yellowstone.
We had, like, last night, there were, like, Yellowstone.
Really?
They were getting in a... Yes, and then they had, like, one of their lawyers call manager. It was ridiculous.
Oh.
Well, you look like they're starting to Better Call Saul.
Yeah.
Now.
Who said what?
No, I said you look like the starting of Better Call Saul.
I gotta roll too, guys. It was a great chatting with all you, man.
All right, Lucas.
Okay,
buddy.
See you, Lucas.
Hey, Grace.
All right.
Yeah. That was a Cinnabon.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be watching the game where he gets back.
Oh, that was funny. Yeah. Man, I haven't seen Trey since he was in California.
But it's true, though. You're just one of you. I was, but everybody was. It's so funny because of all the guys that were kind of the regulars, there wasn't anybody that was the same as anybody else. That was the one thing about that.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. There's one thing about one.
There wasn't another Trace. It wasn't the me. It was everybody has their own certain style, and pretty rare for a stand-up club. You don't see a couple of guys like, oh, they're very similar. You know, that was the regulars were always they stood out. And the thing was, I was doing a showcase because the Just for Laughs would come to Seattle, and for a while it was really rough. I don't know, whatever reason, nobody from Seattle was getting anything. I said, well, I'm Canadian. I'll go to Calgary and I'll do my Just for Laughs audition there. So I remember going there and I was talking to one of the people from the festival and they said, oh, you're Canadian. And I said, yeah. They go, oh, that's right. We always forget you're Canadian because we see you in Seattle. And so I said, they said, where do you work? And I said, well, Giggles. And, oh, do you know this person, this person, this person? And I said, they go, do you know Tracy? And I go, oh, yeah, Tracy's a good buddy of mine. He's really funny. And I go, he does these great characters. I mean, he did this character. We were just talking about last time I talked to him on the phone where he was doing like a ventriloquist act with this. It was just a rubber hand. Mouth on it and Google guides. And then named Palmer. And there was funny. It was another hand was a penis. And it was named Peter. So it was Peter and Palmer with the two.
Mr. Palmer?
And he goes, everything's gonna be okay. And the hand is and this thing starts to move up. He had a syringe inside this penis puppet. One poured out aloe vera.
Oh my God.
was the most bizarre thing, but it was so goddamn funny. Anywhere else, the people would have flipped out, but for some reason, Giggles was kind of like, "Oh yeah, it's okay."
But no, one time a guy got pissed at Tracy for doing that, and Tracy's like, "It's okay, it's just aloe vera, just rub it in your coats."
Oh man,
Terry would let him do these characters, and so then I was talking to a guy from Just for Laughs. This was a number of years ago, and he said, "I said, yeah, a lot of clubs don't want him doing those characters, like a lot of bookers and stuff." He said, and the guy said, "Yeah, that's another reason. That's another thing wrong with that fucking town." Like it was like getting the stigma. Like Seattle was like,
yeah.
Whoa.
I mean, there were people that really did not get Terry, and they did not like him at all.
Yeah,
and you try to like.
There's a lot of valid reasons that I don't know, but I'm sure I know those people pretty well. I go, well, they're good comics, and they're if they got a problem, that's something that's between them. But for me, in my relationship with them, it was always a good thing. But I could totally see why other people,
right?
When I first went over to Hollywood, so 99, like 2000 or something, I lived with Brody in the Valley in his family's condo there. And so you start meeting people and coming from all over the country because it's Hollywood. And then you're meeting medium names, the Arj Barkers at the time, these guys that are like been doing Mark Maron, and you're like, yeah, Seattle. And we talk mutual clubs we played and club owners. And then they go, yeah, you play Giggles? I go, yeah, Giggles, Terry Taylor. They go, is that asshole still alive? They go, like, whoa. And then like, you know what I mean? So he had a horrible reputation among certain comics.
That was completely different. They go, oh, Terry's great. Love Terry. Say hi to Terry for him,
Yeah.
It's just,
and then someone would go like, God, that asshole did this or that. I go, oh shit.
Yeah.
It's like,
it was like,
they was dead.
You loved him or hated him. And it's the same thing with Brody. Like there were people that just did not get Brody. They're like, why do you think that's funny? I'm like, are you kidding me? This is funny. This is the funniest guy I've ever met, Yeah. Like, they just did not get it. They're like, oh, he talks about himself. I'm like, he's joking.
Yes. But a lot of the premise of the nights, those Thursday nights, Teina, like we would go, like every Thursday was for a group of us, and so one of us would headline, and the other ones would middle or MC, but we weren't ready to headline anything yet. It's the time to kind of flop around and see whatever we're trying to do, but it's invaluable because I think that's where, I mean, for me, it's kind of comic I am now because of all that time. That was Brody. When I started seeing Brody later, it's like, oh, he was doing all this stuff on the Thursdays, and it was the same way. Tracy was the same way. So that was kind of, so when I had those experiences with Terry, people go, oh, that guy's this and that and the other. I go, yeah, I guess. But for me,
the two clubs. And so I started in like summer of like 93. Carl told me that was the first open mic. So between the original Comedy Underground under Swannings and Giggles, those were the two clubs. And so it was like the Underground, gritty, artsy, and John Fox was not generous with the stage time. Oh, go up with Mitch. No, he was like, so that was kind of that kind of, then Giggles was much more Hollywood. It was more lit up. They had a big stage. It was like, had light. It was like, that's where you'd meet all these touring celebrities. And so those, definitely Giggles, in addition to the Underground, was necessary. Cause I could say if you stayed at the Underground only, you'd become some sort of brooding, I don't want to say names, but there's a couple of comics that it's like kind of like dark and unfunny. Yeah. And, so Giggles was a chance to like really, do fun stuff. Yes. It was a show. It was a big audience tears.
Didn't he have a Sunday night show? I thought he had Thursday, like Best of Seattle, but Sunday was open mic or something.
Yeah.
And then Thursday just became a regular open mic for those few years when I was going there at the beginning, 96, maybe like 99 or so. Those first 3 years, I was always, those Thursdays were always kind of filled to certain comics. I think even So Lucas's gang was kind of the gang after, it was like when I started, first time I was there was Brody and Teina, and then I met Tracy a little bit later, and then there's a bunch of us that kind of hung out there, and then the newer group was like Jeff Dye and Slater.
And so I'm in between those two.
And you were right. Yeah, you were sandwiched in both of those. Yeah. So, but I don't know if those guys had the Thursdays. I think did some Sunday nights. But remember, we used to do a Think That Club too, where on Sunday nights we'd go sit in after the show was done. We'd all go sit in there, and comics would go on stage and work out new stuff. And we'd all yell stuff. So
because you just stay open.
Yeah.
Well, see, and this is like the tragedy of like today's comedy. Once the internet hit, once it becomes self-promotion, everyone, you can film yourself, you can make TikTok clips and video shorts and all this stuff now. It's all like self-promotion. People are on stage, shouldn't even be on stage. Audiences are paying to watch these people practice. They're trying to get better, but it's under the guise of like, we're following our dreams. I'm clean and sober. Give me a chance. And, if the Terry Taylors were still around, if these club owners and like who were the gatekeepers of quality, half of the comics you see and half of the local shows, none of these people would be doing comedy for money at all. Yet, because the gatekeepers are gone, the Terry Taylors and others, that now it's like you book your own room, you headline yourself, you get 2 or 3 open mic friends to fill it up. And they're charging $15, $20 a ticket, selling these little 60, 70 seater bars out. And these people, bless their hearts, are sitting there. I've been invited to, hey, you want to go up in the show? And I'm like, sure. Okay, you're second. And then there's like 3 more comics after me. And I'm bringing it. I've been back on stage now for about 4 years since Brody died. And so I'm bringing my show. I'm like, got it, bang, bing. And then it just pitters out. And the audience is sitting there like, who are these people? It feels so bad for them because they see the Facebook flyers and they see the promo and they see the one-liner TikTok videos and they show up and it's literally somebody hasn't even been doing it a year. Yeah. So somebody just paid $20 to see them. And so anyway, that because we don't have the Terry Taylors, they would say you suck, keep working on it.
Plus, you said, hanging out of that bar afterwards, which after a while became a detriment for me. I couldn't hang out there. I just became a drunk, but I had to stop going.
Sympathy for all that.
I just went there to drink. I didn't go there to do comedy after a while, so I had to stop going. I told Terry outside, Terry, I'm not coming here because I have a problem with you. It's just, I got a problem. Keep drinking all that. I got to stop.
Alcohol.
It was like we'd all hang out there, and it was back and forth and just taking shots.
So funny.
All
but you remember
all in fun. Like it wasn't like when some of that stuff was just funny as hell.
But there were comics that would
now. There's no way.
There were underground comics that only play the underground and would never play Giggles. And then there were a few comics that would only play Giggles and never play the underground.
I barely did the underground
because they were both really good to me. So I loved doing both of them.
Me too. Yeah.
Like you can go to the underground and be a little freer. I think it's also from playing Giggles, you're bringing a more showy vibe than you were getting at the underground game. Like there's a little
you get compliments from Carl the doorman. Great show.
Great.
You get off stage, sir, he's like, you said fuck. I don't do that for you. Did you hear this?
Yes.
We're laughing at everything.
Yeah. And nowadays it's like, it's all, and nowadays it's almost all choral. It's all positive. It's all affirmative. It's all, there really is, we've lost sort of the standards and the rules. Like there is no, comedians don't really think not getting laughs is necessarily a sign that they're having a bad show.
Yeah.
And, so you watch them go for 10, 15 minutes to a few chuckles. They get off stage. They post Facebook, great show, crushed, did that. I go, no, you didn't. You guys, laughter was the main reason you're in front of people. And I'm glad you're clean and sober. I'm glad you're dealing with your bipolar issues. I'm glad that you're on your journey. The key to comedy is making
laughter.
Is laughter. And they don't consider it a bad show. They almost, I did what I did. I'm following my dream. And it's just like, God damn, it's maddening to me. I'm sitting there like,
no,
I'm watching comedy and you're not laughing.
Well, and you guys have made some great points, because I'm a big observer, and these TikTok comedians, they've got about 3 minutes to capture the audience. And you're right, they've got 1 minute of material. So after that minute, they're pretty much done. Yet they keep getting books, so they think they're doing well. And the other thing is comedians aren't allowed to bust balls anymore. I can't say, hey, I can't say, Inman, you fucking suck, because people get butthurt about it. And you can't even do that. I'm in a scene right now where I feel like if I say anything, that everybody is just going to gang up on me and hate me. And I feel like busting balls is part of comedy, you know?
And the competition of that's also sort of against the rules now in this day and age, but competition. So meaning you'd show up to an open mic, there's Duane, there's Inman, there's Brody, there's Josh Wolf, there's the Joey Diaz. Oh, I'm going to fuck these guys up tonight. You have a new bit. And you're going I hope I'm funnier than all these guys. And they're thinking the same thing. They're like, oh, Teina's here. Watch this. I'm going to crush him. And there's that competition that doesn't seem to be in the open biker world anymore. They're not trying to take each other out. And we really would I got this new bit. Watch this.
We didn't take it seriously. No, seriously.
No,
we still like each other.
Exactly.
Well, you take it seriously, and you get better because everybody's pushing you.
And it was also that thing too, where you would at one point start playing with the comments the crowd sucks. Fuck you guys. I remember first time I saw Teina ever, because I'd worked the Improv when we had that in Seattle, and then when that folded up, I couldn't work the other clubs. They wouldn't put me up yet. The Giggles wouldn't put me up. Underground wouldn't put me up. So I would go every week and sit there and do open mic and never get up. Just had this thing oh, you're an improv guy. So I had to kind of show that I was serious. So I would sit there week after week. I watched Brody and Teina go up. I watched Inman go up. And I remember one night this crowd was just a tight ass crowd. And Teina went up there and goes, oh, they're getting angry to me. And I watched it. And it was one of the funniest, sad, yeah, you want some AIDS? Yeah, you want that? I'll give you that. If you don't want to die for it, you should be getting it. It was just,
And take those condoms off. What are you scared of? You don't want to die for it. You don't want it. Battle splat. It was
and then there was a thing where it became a thing where after open mic, we had a thing called Walk the Crowd, where we'd say the most.
Oh, right.
That became a show where some people would come up, they'd come late to open mic just to stay for Walk the Crowd. Imagine doing that stuff now. I mean,
that really works certain muscles that now the young comics aren't allowed to work.
Walk the crowd.
Get them out.
Oh, man.
How many shows does it take?
It was
I had this. I had my own joke for Walk the Crowd, and I used to do it every time they did Walk the Crowd. And I would start off, and it made it sound like it was an observational joke, guys, help me out. When you kill a girl because you're, and she's dead, it doesn't matter which way you turn her head. It always seems like she's looking away. It's not in the real world. I've met so many comics. The things they say on stage, they would never repeat on Twitter, and it's my God. And that's
why. Do you have any, Duane, can you remember any of your Walk the Crowd bits?
No, I remember thinking wow, my Walk the Crowd stuff was so, I think I would say, I felt like I felt like a youth pastor that got a week pass and
There was one, I think it was Diaz or Craig.
Watch what I say, y'all. Watch.
Yeah, the last.
Sorry, y'all.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
I just didn't watch you guys. Just like, but I was also fairly new too. In the underground was a completely different kind of scene. I'd never seen that.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah. Wild for me. I was like, whoa.
Oh, remember that time?
You know?
I remember that time I got mad at Terry. I think it was like the 10th time I worked for him, and I killed on stage, and I said the F word one time, and he gave me shit about it, and I snapped. All right, that's it. I came up with this idea. What I was going to do was I was going to go on stage at the underground with a bucket, right? I found this pink bucket, and I went on stage. I tell him the whole story about how Terry Taylor wouldn't let you say the F word. And I go, okay, we're going to protest. And I need everyone to donate their business to help fight censorship. And so people, like I put the bucket on stage and people would walk on stage. They peed in that bucket. I go, now I'm going to dump this bucket on Terry Taylor's head. Right. And so I wanted everyone to spread the word like, oh, Inman's going to dump a bucket of piss on your head. And what I was going to do was I was going to put confetti in it. I was going to sneak in there and like chase him around and dump the confetti on him, you know, just as a joke. But
Taylor ending.
Yeah. But he already
Oh, man.
He already figured it out. Like I showed up. Yeah. He's like, you're going to dump confetti on my head, aren't you? I'm like, oh, you fucking, you know, I'm horrible with pranks, but the setup to that whole prank was funnier, you know, because it was a pink bucket and people were pissing in it. Like, oh, we're going to protest and we're going to donate our business.
Like one fallout with Terry that I remember. I mean, we had a few, but there was one that I was with my wife. We're at the club. And it was like, you know, busy night. We're at the bar, kind of on the sidebar, talking to the comic. And Terry, of course, he's racing through there because no wait staff. If my wife quit. And so he's racing through. And he kind of bumped into my wife. And my wife kind of goes over the bar part. It's like, oh, like that. And I go, Jesus Christ, Terry, why don't you watch where you're going? And he looks at me, what'd you say? You go, he's knocked into Kathy, for Christ's sakes. You want to have some, watch where you're going. You're a little bit bigger than she is. So if you don't like him, get the hell out of here. I go, yeah, I will. Fuck you.
Oh, no.
And then I didn't go back for like a month. I was like, I'm not going back. Fuck that guy. And, then Tracy would call, like, why don't you come out tonight? I go, no, I'm not going there. My wife like that. You can't do that to my wife. So then my wife goes, you know, I appreciate that you're sticking up for me, but you know, I know playing that pretty big though. Like, cause my wife's funny. So she was like, yeah. I thought she was really hurt. And she just kind of sat back like, what the hell?
That's funny.
And I think she wanted to leave early. So she goes, as much as I like having you home, you probably should go back there. Because he was like, I think it turns me, it tells Duane to get this corporate gig if he wants it.
Oh, man.
So I had to go down there. I went down there, it was like a Friday night, and the place is line up. I'm like waiting in line, like all this, you know, they don't lock it. We normally would. I'll stand in line, go all the way to the front. Hey, Terry, I guess you got some gig or something like that. Yeah, come on in. I go, all right. And it was fine. And I go, yeah. Kathy told me that you really didn't bump into that hard. And he goes, yeah, I was wondering why you were so flipped up. He all knew he was joking. I go, I've been drinking a couple of beers. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that was your Jada Pinkett moment for her.
my wife's name.
Get my wife, dude. Well, I had moments like that with him that I remember that well. Like I remember like getting paid like it was always maybe or some money thing or booked a gig and then backed out of it or something. And you wouldn't go around for a month or two, but I can't even really remember.
Yeah,
that. But everyone had those moments with Terry. Giggles for 2 months. You know, going back
but it wouldn't matter. You could set fire to that club, and we'd be like, "Yeah, you set fire to my club." But you know,
well, for some of us, as far as like pivotal characters, you know, in our journey as stand-ups and comedians, especially in the Northwest Seattle area of that time, the '90s, If you take out Terry Taylor, I don't know if I'd even be doing comedy right now. Like Carl, Terry, there's major characters that if you take them out, I can't even imagine being a comic.
Yeah,
I would have my wife. I would have my son. Like
you wouldn't. You look at that. I mean, you wouldn't have. Yes, isn't that amazing? I mean, I could get on stage every night of the week in Seattle. If I was in town, I could go to Terry on Thursday and Sunday. I could go to the Underground on Monday and Tuesday, and I could fill up the other days like Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, somewhere. I could always get on stage. And I was at Giggles like every Thursday and Sunday when I was in town.
So were we. Yeah.
It was a place to hang out and, drink a beer and,
Yeah, it was a great play. It was invaluable for me. That's for sure.
Same here. Like, because I'm a prop act, Giggles is more conducive to what I do underground or anywhere else.
Right.
And then my stupid crap. That's the other thing. Like, help me. Like, I do a thing where I need the lights off. Terry would, like, I line at the bar and he'd run in and shut the lights off.
Yep. I would do.
Yeah, he was.
There.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, he was not. Well, what's the word I'm looking for? Stuck up, or he wasn't a comedy purist. Yeah, no. He wasn't a comedy snob.
He put on a good show. You had him.
Yeah, it didn't matter. It didn't matter.
And he brought in. I mean, I remember doing a weekend with Robert Schimmel. And it was like,
oh my God.
So you were with Schimmel one weekend. And I also remember doing a weekend with Dustin Diamond.
Oh yeah,
yeah. And I remember that guy going, "Do you guys have any jokes that like street joke? What? Don't you have any jokes? Hey, more than I am."
Yeah,
headliner.
But I remember opening for when I opened for the Wayans brothers. It was. I feel bad now because I think I made like a gay reference to his shirt or anything. But he had at the time. Again, this is latest 90s, mid.
Yeah,
I think it was on Wayans. Whichever one is the better looking of the two. Sean and Marlon. I think it's Sean. And they were starting to do comedy. In Living Color had just gone off the air, I think, and all that. And the shirt was see-through. It was totally sheer, like made out of like pantyhose material. But the cuffs were solid. And the collar was solid. Remember those shirts? Wrist was see-through. And
he made a joke about it?
No, I did. Because he was getting ready, and I'm thinking, is this motherfucker, is he gonna wear that shirt on time? And so I made some reference to it, I think, which is like not cool because I'm nobody, I shouldn't have said shit, but it was like stuff like that, kind of, because of Giggles, because Terry would let you go up with these big names, you kind of got a sense of like, do I want to do comedy? What if I end up wearing those shirts? And you got to meet big names that were dickheads and big names that were totally cool and big names that weren't that funny and big names that were geniuses. And you're just like, okay, so you started to get a sense of what you wanted out of comedy because you got to meet all these That's one problem with today's comics too.
You got to drive them to Olympia.
People under 5 years. Well, yeah, they don't meet many headliners. They don't deal with road season. Like our open mics, you would get bumped all the time at the Underground. Because the headliners would be there and they'd come in to practice, but you got to watch them. You got to see Mitch Hedberg, you got to see Arch Barker, Doug Stanhope, whoever's in town. And even though you got bumped, you're allowed to watch. And so that's not, I see the advice on Facebook now where they don't sell yourself short. Don't drive 100 miles to make $50. Know your worth. And that's why you never see headliners at open mics. You never see, it's rare to see working comics that have a solid hour that play the clubs. They don't come to open mics anymore because it's not the thing to do. So the younger guys, they don't get those examples. They don't get to see people rock and crush and how good you're supposed to get. So I think that's a big part of today's comedy too, is the examples. They don't have the same examples in the room. And Terry gave us so many people to watch super good people, and that really helped out.
Yeah. They always had advice too, like some of it was good, some of it was all right. I remember one night I wear suits all the time, so I was like, I'm done. I'm just going to wear suits. I'm not going to wear suits anymore. And I was in Calgary doing some shows for Yuck Yucks, and I remember I said, I'm going to buy some leather pants. That's my I'm a leather pant guy. And so I went in, I'm wearing these, they weren't even black, butterscotch leather. I'm wearing like this, I'm wearing a blouse that maybe Sean Wayne was wearing.
Yeah, it could be similar.
Yeah. So it's very sheer black. I go with my leather pants. I'm like, this is my new look. I debuted on a Friday night for my headlining weekend at Giggles. I walk in and Terry's like, what is happening here? Where's the suit? When I look, Terry's like, I need to stick with the suit. I go, you don't know what you're talking about, Terry. You wear Reebok still. So I go on stage. I'm up there for like 4 minutes. Someone takes this one, nice pants. Yeah, I'm rethinking these pants. That's good. I walk on. I'm sweating for a different reason. I'm not nervous. These pants are just.
Duane, how old are you?
Now I'm 52. At the time, I was probably 31.
Okay, so I'm 58.
We're the same.
Yeah.
So
52. Yeah, we're in the.
This is a bad idea. I don't know what I was thinking.
I'm 58, and the first date I went on with my wife, I showed up in leather pants and a preppy sweater, and that was 1983. So I
80, that was kind of still kind of a cool in the gang.
Oh yeah, I bought
Lionel Richie era vibe. I like.
Yeah, I bought them right down the row from Chess King. So you know,
at Chess King. Yeah, I was gonna say at the Squire shop.
Yeah, no, it wasn't Chess King. It was a independent place, but they were right down the row in the mall from Chess King.
I bought these ones at the Gap in Calgary. I guess it must have been.
There you go.
There was I don't know why, but I wore them, and this girl would not let up on these pants. She's like, "Why did you wear this?" I go, "Lady, look, bitch, I still wear the pants." So she kept on again. I go, what are you, a stylist? What is your job that's so important? You're going to mock me. I'm a dental hygienist. I go, wow, you think your teeth would be straighter?
Hey, everybody.
And so she starts crying and runs out of the room.
Oh, man.
And I'm like, and I'm still there. You know, hey, don't get mad at me. She puts the F in teeth. I spent 40 minutes with these leather pants. The crowd hates my guts. This girl's not coming back. I walk out and Terry goes, so you think maybe go back to the suit? Yeah, I think I'm going to run home real quick. So I ran home because I live like so close. I ran home because I had a suit and tie on. I never wore those pants again.
Oh, man. Yeah, if you change your clothing, it can change your whole character.
Absolutely, yes.
Okay, you know, here's the funniest clothing. Just because embarrassing clothing story, not even mine, but it's the funniest clothing story that I know of that I was like part of. Anyway, that's how important clothing is.
Yeah.
Oh man,
wear something that just it was so fun.
Oh man.
Yeah. Can I tell?
Oh, that's funny.
My favorite thing I did with Terry. All right. So one day Terry goes, Louie, what are you doing tomorrow at like 2? I'm like, nothing. So you all know Terry is blind in one eye.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. That's right.
So he goes, I got to pass an eye test. So here's what I want you to do. You go take the eye test before me and memorize all the lines. I can't memorize all the lines.
Look at a Happy Days episode.
No. He goes, you just memorize like 2 of them and then we'll come back tomorrow and we'll do the other 2 lines. So he's sitting there in the waiting room, a newspaper with a pen and paper and a marker.
Are you kidding? Oh my God.
I go and do it. I'm like, the guy goes, yeah, can you read line 4? And I'm like, E-F-E-A-9. He goes, no, that's the wrong line. I go, sorry, that's line 1. It was the whole list. And then he memorizes the whole list. So it's called the right.
Wow.
That's
great.
One of the best men. And then you know what? He died in a car wreck. So thank you for putting him on the streets.
Yeah.
I did not say that's what I was doing. No, he shouldn't have been out there. But it's tragic. I mean, it's when I heard the name Susan Jones texted.
And I think Terry's got in an accident or whatever. And then days later, she's like, I think Terry's gone. I go, gosh, it's nuts. But he wasn't that much older.
No, he wasn't.
Was he 58?
Yeah.
He was 58, 60. I don't think he was that old. That's for sure. He was that much older.
No, he wasn't that much
older. He would have loved the fact that we got together to talk about him.
I think so.
Yeah. No, when you got hold of me, I'm like, for sure, like I said, like Tracy said, people will go from Giggles at a certain time and they'll say, oh, Terry used to say your name all the time. He used to say this. And I go, God, it's so and such a huge compliment when I didn't know that. He's not getting anything out of it. He's not like, hey, Teina, I'm buttering you up. Come to my club or something. Right. He's just saying this to say it. And then later on, people tell me so. It's like, it's very flattering because he was like, mean with his truth and criticism of comedy.
So you guys know that the same impact that he had on us, we had on him, which you don't even think about that.
Yeah.
Especially during a time like this, you don't even think about it. And then you hear these stories and go, oh, he used to say that. A few people now come out and go, oh, he loved you, man. He would talk about you all the time. And you're one of the first, because he always had that thing. Oh, he's the golden boy of Giggles. That was always, he was the golden boy, I was the first golden boy. Then it was Rick Kunkler. Then it was Jeff Dye. And,
remember Kyle Cease had a run.
Oh, yeah. Kyle. That's where Kyle Cease wanted to start.
He was one of Terry's kids for a while.
Yeah.
Terry. Have you seen his stick now?
No.
He's making big money, but I think he lost his mind because he called me once and started talking all that self-motivation stuff. And he called me on Facebook and he was on the road. And I'm like, are you doing comedy anymore? And he's like, oh, I'm into motivational speaking. And I was just talking nonstop. I thought he was on coke. And so I think he's got like bipolar or something. Because but he's
it'd be funny if he was rattling off and he wouldn't stop talking and he's like blah 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 jabbered and you go, Kyle, cease.
Yeah.
Can't wait to say that to him one day.
He was pretty funny. But then he's smart, rightly so. He went from comedy to motivational speaking, and now he's got a book on the New York Times bestseller list.
Really?
And he's got a book called The Illusion of Money, and of course it costs $9.95 on Amazon. But
so that
forward by Terry Taylor from Giggles.
I was going to say, he's on the New York bestseller, so that list doesn't mean anything anymore.
I
remember when him, I think it was Craig Gass and Yoshi were roommates.
Oh, really?
For a while, yeah. I remember Yoshi was there for a while when I'd go see him in LA. I was in the Valley.
Yep.
I know Yoshi's busy. He's like a world traveler. He goes back and forth between like Dubai and Germany or something.
That's another one. That's another guy that Terry loved too. He always said, hey, Duane, do your Yoshi. We would all do, they'd all gamble at night. And I just do impressions of comics. Just do your Yoshi. And it was like, here's my impression of Yoshi on The Bachelor. And it was, do you accept this? Will you accept this rose? Yes, Yoshi, I will. Good enough. Stick up your pussy. I'm the thing ever, but it made us laugh all the Yoshi.
Well, I actually have comedy.
Oh, good.
By like 7:45. No, it's just I host an open mic every Wednesday at the Cedar Inn in Lacey.
Oh,
yeah.
Nice.
It's built for artists. You guys got to come sometime.
For sure.
It's a blast. Yeah. No, it's like we really push the envelope of like expression and so I host it every week. So I'm always like setting it up like, tell your truth and be real. Everything's accepted tonight. Like that.
Just because it's just a comedy night at Lacey.
Yes.
And nobody will say that you suck.
Yes, exactly. It's like,
are you in Phoenix, Arizona? Or where are you at?
Lacey, Olympia, Washington.
Oh, okay. Yeah. We've been talking for 2 hours. So I feel bad for Scott.
This was great.
Yeah, this is.
I'm really glad you thought of this because I wouldn't have missed it. It's important.
It's Duane Goad's idea.
Well, yeah, so kind of. I mean, I don't know. Not really.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's like he's a major character in Northwest comedy, and had Giggles at that time. It was before the internet, especially. There was only a few places.
For sure.
Terry's responsible for. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he was responsible for getting us better, meeting celebrities, well,
I remember
it was fun. And for a while, I lived above the club for a while.
I had a booker that
like
needed a 30-minute video, and Terry recorded. Let me go up on a weekend and do 30 minutes, and recorded it for me, and then did 2.
Oh wow,
2 shows or.
Mm-hmm.
He's got a crazy archive of all those tapes if he still has them.
Oh God, yeah.
He recorded everything.
No, he loved comedy.
Yeah, he did.
It was funny when he would go up and do time. Sometimes I would go up and try to do.
He was really bad. He didn't say that word.
He said about vacuuming his Christmas tree, and I'd be like, "What is July? Is that too late?"
Oh,
yeah. So funny.
Yeah, he would go up. It was funny. I gotta go.
That's great.
All right, guys.
Well, yeah. So,
I'm gonna.
Hey, thanks for doing this.
Louie, everybody.
This will come out in a podcast, and I'll also share the video with you so you guys can send it off to family and friends and do whatever you want.
Okay. Are you gonna beat my N-word joke?
It depends. I'll take a look at the edit.
Funny. Sometimes you need the word.
Yeah.
Inman, we'll have an exchange back and forth on I have this new thing about how sometimes we don't have words that are bad enough. There's a woman that drowned this is a few years ago. She meets a man, she falls in love, not the father of her 3 young children. So she drowns her 2-year-old, 1-year-old, 3 kids in a van, drives them into a lake, drowns them live, comes out, makes up some story that she was robbed, she gets busted. And so what's the word? Cunt? It's not enough. That's a word. No. That's what I'm saying. Sometimes we think that we have all the words that are the worst words. I go, no, we don't.
Yeah.
To call those the N-word, it's not enough. It's not enough.
Yeah.
For what they did. So anyway.
Is that
no, that's a new topic. No, I'm actually thinking as wordsmiths, people think that we have the words that no, we actually need to create more curses.
Yeah, I know.
Take it up a level.
Times,
Yeah.
You could be called a black rose or something.
That's gonna be the new Teina bit. I can tell.
Well, I want Inman to. It's a very Inman idea. These words are not.
That's the best Inman impression. All right, guys.
This is great.
Let's end it.
Thanks, Scott. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thank you. See you, Duane.
Right.
See you, Teina.
All right.